Welcome back to Bloom. The Day I Had to Grow Up is a documentary about the future of youth activism in America. Let's take a look.
Because we have endured bullets and storms and fires. Because we have had to grow up one too many times. Speaker Pelosi, Democratic leadership, we are asking you to grow up. When will you confront?
And joining us now are the co-directors of The Day I Had to Grow Up, Laura Pellegrini and Stefano to offer tips for 5 ways that youth can engage in activism. Welcome to Bloom.
Thanks for having us. We're excited to be on the show.
Thank you. We're so excited.
I'm excited to talk to you both. I have 4 daughters, and it is unbelievable to me what they have had to experience in their youth and growing up, and still in the classroom, the younger ones in middle school and high school today. What first inspired you to do a documentary about youth activism in America?
You know, the first thing for us in our generation that was a watershed moment was 9/11. But we had noticed, speaking to younger activists, that for them, between the period of, let's say, Sandy Hook to Parkland, Laura and I noticed a lot of the school shootings was a real impetus for their social activism. Those school shootings had a dramatic effect. And I think that that's also where the title of The Day I Had to Grow Up came in, at the process of, you know, as youth changes, you find yourself in a world that is much different than the protections and the shelter that you had with your parents.
Yeah, and seeing how that world of activism has evolved to this point. Like, the wave of activism that exists now is different from how it was in the 60s and 70s. So looking at that perspective and you know, taking inventory of kids, how they are today, and meeting them where they're at was super important for us as filmmakers.
Yeah.
You know, as adults, we sit back and watch on the news these terrible, scenarios unfold of school shootings, and we think, oh, that's so terrible. But imagine being the child sitting in the classroom, not knowing from one day to the next if that's going to be your school. There are all these threats that go out on social media that something's going to happen. Why is youth activism so important right now?
Well, I think the first thing is that it's so important because they're looking for an aspect to find like-minded people. I mean, they need to find like-minded people who can listen to them. This generation is going to be with us for longer than we'll be around, hopefully. And they need mentorship. They need people to listen to them. And the circumstances, whether it's the wildfires in California or the school shootings, they're looking for people to understand the circumstances that they feel are affecting them in their generation. So, you know, being open to this generation, whether we agree with them or not, or see things differently, it's very important that we are under the umbrella together because we need each other. You know,
we need each other. We need to see through their lens as well. What are 5 ways that youth can engage in activism?
Laura, I'll let you start with this.
Yeah, I think the big one for number 1 is organizing. You know, change is incredibly exciting, especially for this generation, as these new things are happening all at once. And I think organizing within a community, whether it's in a church or, you know, a local town of worship, a school, any neighborhood, it's important for kids, like Stefano said, to meet fellow like-minded activists that they can brainstorm with and develop strategies on a local level while also engaging with their community on a personal level. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, the second thing that I would say is reading. You know, if you're going to get into environmental policies, which are very complicated in terms of whether you're talking about natural gas or fossil fuels or fracking or plastics in the ocean, you're going to meet people that have different points of view along the political road, along the activist road. It's so important that you're prepared in the level of debate so that you're able to debate rather than having, you know, a shouting match or just one aspect of propaganda versus another one. You're able to engage in intellectual thought. So reading would be number 2.
Yeah.
The third thing
would be running for office.
Yeah.
You know, these kids, they're not yet at a place where they can run for Congress, but they can certainly run for school president. They can be an advocate for a new organization at school. They can run a drive, anything that helps them facilitate a role where they're responsible and they're spearheading something. It gives them that sense of responsibility that they can take with them later on and apply that to the real world outside of school.
And we literally have just seconds left. What are the last two?
The last two is finding what your talent is. So making sure that you know personally what you love so that you're able to affect change from an authentic place. And the last thing is watching documentaries. A documentary like ours, The Day I Had to Grow Up, you know, we focus on the real lives of 6 people, not just beyond the political issues, but what their lives are like, because there are lots of ups and downs as being a social activist. So documentaries, all sorts of documentaries where you get inside the life of a person is so beneficial.
All right, you guys have been spectacular. We really appreciate you joining us on Bloom today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So interesting. And for more information, you can visit thedaythedocumentary.com. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this. Stick around.